General Minister Hashim N'Zinga, the national chairman of the new Black Panther Party. Receive him by saying, Black Power!
I want to first say what all people say when they end up in a pulpit. I want to give honor to God that we're here. And we're not just saying that because it's something you say. We live that. I want to say that I'm sorry I'm a little late, but I was watching Django. It's kind of hard to cut off Django before they start killing those white folk. I want to thank, you got a lot of things that are dangerous in this world. You got one of the most dangerous weapons in this pulpit. And Greater St. Stephen's First Church. See, you got foot soldiers. You can see them. Then you got airplanes. You can see them. You got tanks. You can see them. But anybody who knows warfare, I know the most dangerous thing is the submarine when it's a nuclear weapon. Because you can't see it, but you'll feel it. And it'd be too late for you to do anything about it. That's what kind of pastor you got. You read his bio. It's a bio of an educated man. You got a lot of preachers like this. You know, in the new Black Panther Party, every church we get to do something in, we have to get 5 churches. Because at least 4 are going to cancel out. Because all of those politicians they run through, they meet them when you ain't looking. One phone call, you can have the biggest program going you want, it's going to get canceled. We done went city to city many times, they had to do it across the street in the park because the church wouldn't let the truth in. Oh my goodness. Look at the Lord. You working against the church if the Bible say the truth will set you free. Why are we scared? But a nuclear weapon, come on. My God, you don't want to face it. When I was coming into the city, give Brother Seven a hand who drove me in from Atlanta. When you see me on YouTube, Facebook, I usually have Panthers all around me with AKs. But I told them I was going home. Y'all stay where you are. Enjoy your families. I'm going to a house where a brother protests 365 days a year. So I'm going to a house where the LOC has been going since 1995. They don't go and protest one day and then wait on the next episode. When I was coming down 20 while ago, and I got off and I seen wheelbarrow. You know, my father lived off of wheelbarrow in Miller Street. And when I lost him, I was in Washington, D.C. I'll never forget it. And we were sitting next to Erykah Badu on one side, and Attorney Shabazz was getting ready to speak before Minister Louis Farrakhan in Washington, D.C. And I got the text that my father had passed. And they said, man, we got to get you home. This is a cold statement, but it's true. Bible says, let the dead bury the dead. If you didn't do what you're supposed to do, when somebody living, ain't no use to rush into no funeral. Man, my daddy had the best relationship a son and father could have. My daddy knew wherever I was at, he only had a 4th grade education, but he knew the white man was the devil. So when I got off on past Miller Street, I knew I was home. And I'm glad to be here, and I want to thank Reverend Lee, and the Nation of Islam, Brother Taiwan, Brother Blood, head of my security here, brothers that has been put together by Pastor Bell. But I wanted to let you know something that y'all already know. You can have all the soldiers in the world, but if you ain't protected by God, you're dead anyway. For the organization that I represent, I just want you to say Black Power one time. Black Power. Black Power. We're going to do this, but we can't cheat you. We can't do no emotional stimulism. We passed that point. I can't stand here and say, I'm the chairman of the new Black Panther Party, which make me a leader, and not follow the principles of leadership. And the principles of leadership, when you become a leader, you become a servant of the people. That's why I'm here. And then you can't stand on concrete that you didn't pour without talking about who poured the concrete. Some people would think I'm finna go right to Huey Newton and Bobby Seals and Lane Brown and Elder Cleavers, Aaron Michaels. No, we ain't going there. Because before there was a Stokely Carmichael in Lowndes County with this little button and a brother H. Ralph Brown, Brother Jamel Amin, and I hope you're writing them and keeping up with them. There was the Deacons of Defense. There were some preachers that knew they didn't build a church for it to be burnt down. And we studied down the street, Tulsa, Oklahoma. But do we really study? See, history got a way of making black people look like punks. That ain't our purpose.
Yeah, you're right.
So when you study Wall Street and you tell your children about Wall Street, give my son Zion a hand. He turned 1 the other day. Lift Zion up. That's my queen Janine. That's the next one now. Boom my yay. Boom my yay. Boom my yay. Every day he beat the drum and say, boom my yay. Y'all know what that means in Swahili, don't you? That means kill them. Because if they try to kill my son and my queen and my 2 daughters and my family, boom my yay. You won't be packing a water gun for long. Y'all don't mind if I take my time, do you? Yeah, we got to do this right. So when we understand Tulsa, Oklahoma, they had a young boy in jail. And we knew and they know, we know from history, they know from 1921, reality. We just read it in the book, right? That when it get dark, they come for our people when a white woman doesn't scream foul. So the Deacons of Defense went to the church. Some of them had just got back from the war. And they surrounded the courthouse. Some of them in military uniforms. And they brought them things with them. Y'all know what them things are. And if you study Tulsa, Oklahoma, it wasn't like South Carolina, Sumter, South Carolina, when the Confederate fired the first shot. Them Deacons of Defense fired the first shot. And they went to killing them white folk in Tulsa, Oklahoma and had no mercy. Before the plane came, before the bombs came, they don't want to tell you them brothers was handling their business. They weren't letting them touch that little boy. So you give a black power to the deacons of defense. Now we can move on to Selma, Alabama, where Stokely Carmichael told him, if you don't move out our way, we'll roll over you. And start a political party with this symbol, the Panthers. Then some young kid at Berkeley named Huey P. Newton later became Dr. Huey P. Newton. And we stand here on Kwanzaa under a man that reminded me that every day. I messed around and called Dr. Karenga. Don't do that. He gave me a 3-hour speech on how hard it is for a black man in America to get a doctorate. My lead man graduated from TCU, played basketball for TCU. I told him he couldn't last in these days. He used to knock a cracker out every game. If they fouled him, he'd knock him out. They'll put him out the league this time, but Karenga told me, look, they called us boy and every other name we could be called. So when you see a black man with a doctorate or a sister with a doctorate, you make sure you go out of your way to say Dr. Karenga. Because when we go get a doctorate, that's Nia. We go for a purpose. And so we got to say later became Dr. Huey P. Newton. And Brother Bobby Seals and Sister Angela Davis. I think she was a doctor at UCLA. And I think a crooked white man named Nixon and a crooked white man named Reagan forgot she was a professor, and they dealt with the wrong one. So I want to give a humble and pleasant shout out to the original Black Panther Party, whose shoulders we stand on. When I came to my senses, I started teaching black history classes at a church in Arlington, Texas, under the leadership of Reverend Bobby Weber. Y'all might know the Weber family. Used to be a state representative. And that little black history class went to spread it to Fort Worth on Rosedale at Martin Luther King Library. Then it spread it to Dallas, Texas, to Martin Luther King Library. Then it spread it to Grand Prairie, and before I knew it, I was teaching black history and didn't know what the hell I was teaching. But if you step out with a Nia, with a purpose, God gonna send you somebody. Where did you say you graduated from? University of Texas at Arlington. I think I was on either Greg Street show, he ain't here no more, on K104 at 6 o'clock, it's time for Street to Rock. Messed around, did so good on that, I made it to Tom Joyner's show. And Dr. Delaney was listening, and I was messing up so many dates in our history. He thought I was recreating the history. See, when you got that passion, you just gonna go, right? But God said, how would they know unless I send them a what? A teacher. And I got a call from Professor Dr. Marvin Delaney at UTA at Arlington. He said, you got the right idea and the right spirit. He said, but some of that stuff you saying ain't right. Then I got a call from Dr. Ed Sims, his family created a Brother Man comic book. He said, I think we can help you. Stand up, brother. Y'all know this man. Brothers like this came out of nowhere. Yes, sir. And all of a sudden, we had a team. Yes, sir. And we took that little old black history class and we turned it to a think tank. Because it was time for us to start thinking for ourselves. And when we started moving around, I would go a little farther than Miller Street. Y'all know about Rosedale. I had an uncle over there who was a mechanic. Another 4th grade education. But he would sit there and listen to Dr. King and make the whole neighborhood listen to Dr. King because he owned the whole neighborhood. Then he started listening to Minister Farrakhan. Y'all know them black old man who get them big old speakers they don't make no more? Take 7 people to lift them up on something and play it loud. And so we went and got this young man right here named Taboo. Stand up, Taboo. My nephew, little old bitty guy, started bringing them to them black history classes. And now he has a wife. Where's your wife? Right here. Got children. And I'm so proud of him. Yes, sir. I mean, if you got some stand-up people in Fort Worth, you can give them props. But that little man, I watched him grow. Become a family man, get a job, cut his yard, wash his car, got a house. Every time you see him on Facebook, his kids are Disney World, Six Flags, all over the country. You know, some of us won't leave 285. That loop got us trapped. I mean, 287. I've been and said some stuff in Atlanta. But see, this is a living witness. It's all right to talk about something. Where's the product? And what is the product doing? That'll tell you your purpose. Glad to see you. But when the Honorable Dr. Khalid Muhammad went through the Million Man March, his uncle paved the way. My uncle and his grandfather. Fort Worth done a lot for us. First time I met the Honorable Dr. Khalid Muhammad, first place we came was Fort Worth, Texas, at the Masonic Lodge. But let me finish if I can get started. So I wanted to say after Tom joining on, we finally got to John Wiley Price, Mary Ellen Hicks, Bob Ray Sanders. I heard Bob slipping a little bit. I'll talk to him before I leave. Finally got to Robert Ashley. Finally got to Roland Martin. Finally got to Commissioner Royce West. And we started making headways. So then we started what we call the Return of the Revolutionaries. Good God. And we bought Brother H. Ralph Brown and Stokely Carmichael, which we got to get them proper names. Stokely Carmichael is who now? Cromie Terrell. We're pleased with him. H. Ralph Brown is who now? Brother Jamil Amin. We're pleased with him. And we started bringing Dr. Amos Wilson, Dr. Tony Martin, Dr. Delbert Blair, Francine Fresh Wells, and Dr. Kringle might be listening. And we started to do this thing, and it started to move us. And so I was bringing all these people. So John Wiley said, I do talk back. We got to have them on my show. Then Cheryl Smith had a show on Sunday morning on KKDA. I want them on my show. Robert Ash said, you got to bring them to heaven. And so we just start sharing them with the bookworm in Fort Worth. Sharing them with Emma Rogers in Dallas. Pan-African Connection. Now we finna start bringing them to the Doc bookstore. And so going to John Wiley Price show, one day I was in there and we had Michael McGee out of Milwaukee, who was starting the Black Militia, which was really restarting like the Panthers. Then Brother Aaron Michaels was back there. He was the producer of John Wiley Price show. Talk Back. Talk Black to Me. And it inspired Aaron to restart the Black Panther Party. And Brother Aaron Michaels restarted the Black Panther Party, and then I didn't know then, but I know now. Because, see, you got knowledge when you're young. You know what knowledge is. If you don't, I'll give you an example. Knowledge is when you go in your grandmama's house and see a 1,500 piece of puzzle on the kitchen table. But you don't see the box. She's sitting there putting the puzzle together because she didn't put it together and broke it down so many times. But if you go in there, knowledge is this is a puzzle. These are pieces. But you didn't see the picture with the 3 horses and the red barn and the car on the side of the road. So you don't know what in the hell are you looking at, but you know you got a lot of knowledge, so you know you're looking at. Wisdom is when you can put it together. Don't get them confused. Grandmama had the wisdom. You had the knowledge. Knowledge is only going to get you so far. It'll get you in the room, Reverend Bell. And so the original party, some of the members began to attack Brother Aaron Michaels. And they ended up taking him to court. And Brother Aaron had to change the name to New Black Panther Party. Give Brother Aaron Michaels a hand. See, if you're going to listen to a man that come in your church and tell you he's the national chairman of the New Black Panther Party, and he don't tell you how he got there, put him out. We hate to give somebody credit if it ain't the white man. Oh, that Sam Walmart. I'm in the wrong place. Y'all already know all this. We need to be out there when you protesting, when some of them Negroes come back by and ask you like they ask us, why y'all protest? We'll talk to you in about 365 years. We can't go back that far, brother, if you're asking us that. We ain't got enough time. So eventually, I would bring Dr. Khalid Muhammad, as I said, to the think tank and to speak. And the think tank, we fell in love with Dr. Khalid Muhammad. And eventually, I would start traveling with Dr. Khalid Muhammad. Meeting Dr. Khalid Muhammad, it just takes me back to the Bible. When they met Jesus, and they were fishermen. He told some of them, Reverend Bell, I'm going to make you fishermen of a man. Can I get a hallelujah? And they left them fishing rigs, and they went with Jesus. And they never looked back. That's how it was when I met Khalid. He told me to come on. I left my wife, my kids, my house, my dog, my rat, my fish. Something came over me. Left the think tank. Good God Almighty. And we went to Riverside, California with Khalid eventually. A brother named James Best tried to take his life, take our life. And he shot 5 of us, including Dr. Khalid Muhammad. And Dr. Khalid Muhammad fought through it, but he got shot in the leg. So everybody thought it was a joke. But he got shot in a main vessel because of his military training through the nation and being the FOI Supreme Captain and being trained and training. He took his towel off and tied up his leg, and later the Jewish doctor 'Cause we was in Riverside, California. It was lily white back then. And we went to the hospital, a bunch of Jews and white folk. Well, we had enough guns, and we told that Jew, you going to fix this one. He said, could you get the guns out the... Pay attention to what you're doing. But Khaled would come through that. And at a certain point in time, he told me to take him somewhere where he can heal. And I brought him back to Fort Worth, Dallas. And we was getting so many death threats because death beget what? Death. So give other people ideas. And we was looking for somewhere, and we was at my house, but they knew kind of, they might can find us there. So we called Sister Cheryl Smith. And she said, bring him to my house. Then we took him to Dr. Ed Sims' house. And we got him black doctors. And black Fort Worth Dallas gathered around us. And then Brother Aaron Michaels had 2 chapters of the party, and he would rotate some of the party members to guard Doc's life. Then we had the think tank, but the think tank was like LOC and Reverend Bell. We had soldiers in the think tank. So we would take turns guarding Doc's life until we got him back well. But in that meeting, Doc had got suspended from the nation. So he was like an international leader with no job. And Aaron Michaels was like a local leader with an international job. But he hadn't been to Egypt. He hadn't worked with Gaddafi. He hadn't rode in a helicopter with Idi Amin in Uganda. He hadn't been to South Africa 5 times. He hadn't been to Ghana yet. He hadn't been the supreme captain in the Nation of Islam yet. He hadn't been the national assistant to Mrs. Farrakhan yet. That gives you a lot of experience. And so in that relationship, Doc became the chairman of the new Black Panther Party. And within 6 months, we had 36 chapters all over the country. So I stand on his shoulder. And when he made his spiritual transition in 2001, we voted Attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz as chairman. Attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz was the chairman for 13 years. And right now in history, he's the longest standing chairman ever to be over any Panther Party anywhere in the world, anywhere in history. And when he decided that they was doing us too bad out in these streets and he wanted to go to Black Lawyers for Justice, because you know he graduated from Howard, was Young Lawyer of the Year, but when you work with Dr. Collins, you don't get to use no law degree. You can't stay in town long enough. Who want to hire a lawyer and never see him? Because he's up there in West Virginia trying to save Megan Williams. He's over there in South Carolina trying to save our people from the Klan who dragging Anthony Thomas behind pickup trucks. He down in Jasper, Texas, working on James Byrd case. So he had to go back and get the black lawyers together because we fighting them in the courtroom now. And so that's when I became the chairman of the new Black Panther Party, and I've been it for 5 years. Now you know the story. That's just an introduction. Now, with your permission, I'd like to go to work. I see you handled unity. I see you handled Kuchachakalia and self-determination. I see you might have did some collective work and responsibility. And did y'all work on corporate economics? Okay, I thought you did. And tomorrow y'all be talking about creativity. And then the day after that, God gonna test your faith. But Pastor Bell giving me the task to deal with the 5th day of Kwanzaa. Purpose. So if you don't mind, let me go to work on this matter called purpose.
Yes, sir.
See, in the new Black Panther Party, we're called revolutionaries.
Yeah.
See, revolution means complete, constructive change. That's revolution. Revolutionary want the change to happen now. That's our purpose. You know, when you're dealing with African people, you're dealing with the purpose of God. You're dealing with extraordinary people in our history. You might be dealing with a Kwame Ture. But who is he named after? Kwame Nkrumah. First country in Africa win its independence in 1954. Ain't that sad? I said helped the first African country to win its independence in the 1954. In 1954, Thurgood Marshall was fighting the Supreme Court over separate but equal. Won the case Brown versus Board of Education in 1954. And our native land is fighting for their independence. And we're over here fighting in the Supreme Court. Am I right? Malcolm X would say, I don't get mad when chicken come home to roost. He was talking about Patrice Lumumba in the Congos. He knew John Kennedy and the CIA had set up his murder. Am I right? And so, these are extraordinary people. We know a little bit about Joe Kenyatta. I hope y'all do. Great warrior of Kenya. We're extraordinary people. But our problem is, in 1954, we talked about Thurgood Marshall. But in 1955, they killed Emmett Till.
That's right.
In 1955, Rosie Parks decided to sit on a bus. And a young man named Martin Luther King Jr. at 20-some years old who had graduated from Morehouse at 15. We're talking about extraordinary people.
Yes, sir.
But our problem is this new generation. You got to remember, I'm going to name some people, but you got to remember why we connecting the dots. Because if we don't connect the dots, we'll never be solid. Because we're forgetting something. And so Dr. King started a protest in Selma, Alabama, and got black people to stick together for 365 days and shut a bus line down. We're extraordinary people with a purpose. He took 250,000 to Washington. I know you can say all the other stuff, but let's just talk about what he did. We know as conscious people, there's problems. But look at these niggas today. That was extraordinary in 1963. Because that's the year they killed Medgar Evers. So we're going to talk about how we can fix this before I get out of here. Because if somebody on the side of the road with a flat tire, you can stop and wish them well, but if you didn't change that flat, you ain't did them no good. So it's a shame that in 1963, Medgar Evers would ring his doorbell and shots would fall off. And he would fall into his wife's arms because he just wanted to vote. We're extraordinary people. But what's a bigger shame is Thurgood Marshall in 1954, we'll go back a minute, did the biggest case in history with the Supreme Court, separate but equal, and turned it into Brown versus the Board of Education. Won the case, but you can't talk about Thurgood without mentioning his mentor at Howard University. I'll leave that out there. Thurgood became one of the most popular black men in America in 1954. By 1955, Dr. King, the 23-year-old man, took the black spotlight. That made the NAACP mad. You know, we put out a warrant poster for Trayvon Martin killer, the crazy cracker devil Zimmerman. And they arrested me and put me in the DeKalb County Jail for 9 months. And while I was in there, I got a book that Medgar Everett's wife wrote, and I read it. And I cried all night in that jail cell reading that book because I did not know that the NAACP was so jealous of Dr. King and the SCLC that they told Medgar Everett, don't go to no more of his meetings, don't be seen with him. And they told old Philip Randolph, don't get mad at Philip, because some of you niggas doing it today. I seen Philip, me and my wife watched the movie, The 10,000 Georges. Y'all know what that is? The porters on the trains. I seen that man free them black man. So some of these men were weak in some areas, but they did extraordinary things. But we got to study their strength and their weaknesses. That's what we're doing today. Y'all all right? Yeah, we didn't come to scream and holler. We come to teach. Because our people need some bread. Something to fill them up. And so they told Medgar Everett to stay away from Dr. King and the SCLC. Afraid they're going to steal some members. Black people part of everything. You can't steal no members. You can't steal nobody from the nation and bring them here. You can't steal nobody from Panther Party, bring them here. You can't steal nobody from the LOC. We all one. That's what I hope we leave here with. So they're doing this foolishness, fighting each other, and the devil is in the middle of it. And all of a sudden, instead of them working together, they trying to stab each other in the back. Brother Bill got on some red, black, and green shoes, but nobody want to give a man who started red, black, and green his credit. Dr. Garvey say to have a nation of your own, you got to have a flag of your own. Say when you go to UN, you see a Chinese flag, you see a Russian flag, you see that old American flag dripping with blood. Where's our flag? So he gave us that red, black, and green. Boy, we afraid of that red, but we love that black. We'll get a little land, but boy, you better learn, and you better learn fast. But I don't want to go to that because I'm going to mess up my content. I don't want to get to that. I'm jumping ahead of myself. But anyway, the purpose of me saying this is because we're extraordinary people, but we're foolish sometimes. So the brother over the National Baptist Convention, all the Baptist churches, what's his name, Bill? J.H. Jackson. Was so hateful to Dr. King. Little old man of peace. Why is the Panther up here talking about Dr. King? Because Dr. King is one of us. He ain't one of them. And he did more than most of us in this room are doing our lifetime. You better talk about him. So Dr. King went to Chicago where this preacher was. Filled up, you know, the Chicago Bears played tonight in Soldier Field. But if you Google Dr. King, he filled up Soldier Field. Fighting for housing in Chicago. Left Chicago to go to Memphis. He didn't go to Memphis to help Elvis. He went to Memphis to help the garbage collectors. In the middle of a poor people campaign. And you know, the first time he went to Washington, They say it was a virus. But the second time, Dr. King wasn't playing. He said, we're going to build tents and houses, and we ain't leaving. And he said that America, last time we came to Boo, he said they left for us an insufficient check. They sent all the money and our people to Vietnam. He said we ain't going for it this time. So when all the people around Dr. King, knowing going to Washington to the poor people campaign can draw a lot of money from these white people that they call liberal. I don't know nothing liberal about them, but we'll use their term. A lot of money can be made going to Washington. Ain't no money can be made going to Tennessee. And the first time Dr. King went to Tennessee and got on the plane, they say it's a bomb on the plane. Dr. King said, we'll get the bomb off. Most niggas would have went home, got under their bed, had their wife peeping out the window. But he went on to Memphis. And if you study the history, his core people didn't go with him. They were worrying about Washington, D.C. I'm talking about Andrew Young and the boys. I had to get angry over this, and then I thought about something. They ain't Dr. King. See, we try to make Andrew Young Dr. King. Then we tried to make Jose Williams is a good friend of mine. We tried to make him Dr. King. And old Abernathy, we wanted to make him Dr. King. But God ain't going to give you but one Dr. King. So he went, and they started, as you know, the fight in the march. They were setting up this assassination. They had some young boys breaking in stores, and they had to whip Dr. King away. All them Negroes like that, Jesse Jackson and the boys. I was with Jesse at Ebenezer Baptist Church a couple of days ago. I said, throw the Black Power sign up. Go look at my YouTube and my Facebook. I said, you better throw it up. I said, I'm Stokely Carmichael. And then Reverend Warlock brought me in the Ebenezer's pulpit and said, and I'm Dr. King. You can be Stokely. Let's go. That's beautiful, ain't it? The Panthers at Ebenezer in the pulpit with the brother who's running Ebenezer now. Got on a pair of shoes like that. We making headway. But the storyline is, by the time Dr. King went to that church on that rainy night and said, I've been to the mountaintop. And I ain't fearing no man. And I looked over and seen. We're going to stop there because that's all the white man wants us to hear. But before he said that, he said, we ain't buying no more Coke. We ain't buying no more Wonder Bread. He said, we're going to put our money in black banks. Check LC where our money is. Our money is in a black bank. He said, we're going to use black doctors. And Dr. King went to telling them they got to feel some pain. And he wouldn't go to the poor people campaign. And it was meant for him to be there. A lot of people can't say where he was at that night. But you know that speech. It ain't important where you're at. It's important as the substance of your message. King never knew that was going to be his last message. But a week or two before that is what I'm getting to. My memory is a little slow, but I'll catch it up. We ain't going to let this preacher off the hook in Chicago. And Soldier Field leave y'all out there. What the hell are you talking about? He went way over here. No, we putting it together. Just stick with me. For you can teach this tomorrow. If you know it, just teach it harder. Because I already told you, I don't claim to know everything. I like help. If we ask for help, we get better off. As long as you ain't asking Trump. But anyway. King said this, and this is sad. King died at 39 years old. He was just young. Malcolm died at 39. Just getting started. But in that little short time, King said, I remember back when black people used to stick together. That's heavy. In this little short span, we had already broke apart. Understand that. Most powerful black man in America. Talking about how we done already split apart. He couldn't hold it together before he died. He was stabbed in the heart by a black woman. And he did a speech, if I had a sneeze. And he said a little white girl wrote a letter saying, I'm glad you didn't sneeze. This is confusion. I'm going to tell you about us. You thought I'm going to talk about the white man? It's a waste of time. He's Satan. Satan means the devil. And the devil ain't come to destroy you. That'll let you off too easy. The Bible says he come to kill. Go all the way with that. So this preacher in Chicago was so jealous of Dr. King that when Dr. King died and they made Martin Luther King Avenue all over the world, Martin Luther King Avenue ran in front of his church. Like if that's the front of your church, that's your address. He went downtown and changed his church to the back so he wouldn't have to put Dr. King's name on his business cards and on all the church letterheads. How in the hell can you be a black Baptist preacher and go do all of that against Dr. King after he done sacrificed at the Lorraine Hotel and took a bullet for you, man? You want to sit here and talk about the white man. He worse than a damn white man who pulled the trigger. So we the only people who run around here and let the enemy measure how good we doing. We the only people that run around here and let somebody else look through the lens and tell us our story. How in the hell you think your enemy gonna tell your story to your children? I'm talking about their purpose. They know what their purpose is. They want to be Nefertiti, Nefertari. They want to be who you don't want to be. And it all started with a word called fear. What is fear? It was the white man's purpose. Fear. Something that didn't exist. If I put my young son on a refrigerator and I'm standing there, he'll jump off that refrigerator like he's an eagle and jump in my arms. Fear nothing. You take a young baby and you put a young baby in a swimming pool, he'll swim to you. They don't know what fear is. Who taught them fear? Who taught you fear? Let's deal with this. Who taught you? My son turned 1 a couple days ago. When he get 2, I'm supposed to call him Terrible 2. Who taught us Terrible 2? These people got a purpose. Ain't no baby, no Terrible 2. When he 2, he's soaking up the world. His little mind is wandering everywhere. He's learning everything. He's repeating everything. So be careful what you do around him. He might repeat it. So if he's repeating dirty things, you dirty. He ain't no Terrible 2. He's doing what he's taught. And if you teach him boom-ba-yay, the white man will leave you the hell alone. Because we put our kids in their schools under their leadership. That's why they terrible too. You go tell the master that. So that brings me to this subject matter. Purpose. Nia, y'all all right? I'm just telling you African people a little bit about our purpose versus what I'm going to go into. See, because they call us revolutionaries. And they'll lock brothers up for using that name. And they try to pass laws if you say this, if you do that, as a revolutionary. In this country, where 40-some million of us live, look at that brother there. He ain't scared of him. That's my brother there, Brother Ricky. It's good to be able to look out and start seeing faces. But let me tell you something, Brother Bell. Let's reverse time and let's go to the true history and their purpose. And we watch their purpose, we should see our purpose in their purpose, because their purpose is to take over our purpose. So time to time you got to reverse the psychology. So when you go in the White House, you go in the Senate chamber, you go in the Congressional Hall, or if you go visit certain congressmen, certain senators, or the White House, first thing you're going to see, anybody here got $1? What's on it? What's on it? You know how we do call and response. Talk black to me. George Washington. They didn't say the niggas was coming. They say the British were coming. Talk black to me. George Washington was British, fighting the British. He was a revolutionary. He said, Donald Trump, I'm sorry. Wasn't no Donald Trump there. If you take my tax money and you don't represent me, you're going to have a problem. And the old little funky queen in England, and the little funky people in her carriage with her, riding around with all that gold on her head and diamonds from Ghana and the Congo. I hope one day God make that necklace choke the hell out of her. If he don't, we need to do it. They told George, to hell with you. And so in close to 1776, George Washington became a revolutionary. He wanted change now. Whatever that was, that's God speaking. Because wherever the truth is, God is there. And so George got to teaching. And the first person to respond was Christopher Attell. A black man with a purpose, but fighting for the wrong team. Took the first bullet in the Revolutionary War, am I right? And when George got ready to cross the Delaware, wasn't it Whipple and Cromwell, when they both black? Because, see, black people knew how to move around this country. The white man had to learn from Harriet Tubman. We'll get to that later. I done moved up to the Civil War. We're going to stick with 1776, because when these damn hypocrites go to talking about revolution and revolutionaries, George Washington wasn't no 5-star general for fighting black people. He was a 5-star general for fighting the British, using black people. Then he became the United States' first president in 1776. Then he wrote their Constitution. Him and the old boys, Benjamin Franklin. You know the rest of them. I don't feel like speaking all them crackers' name into there. So you go and, silly white people in Washington sitting there with a revolutionary behind their head telling us we can't be revolutionaries. We can't fight for our tax money. We not represented, but we shut up. But you worshiping the first revolutionary who started all of this. Then you got that paper called the Constitution. And we had a governor running in Atlanta for governor. Did y'all know that? First time a black person almost won governor's sister. And me and the Panthers went out with AK-47s and went door to door, campaigning with her sign, Stacey Bryant. What's her name, baby? Huh? Abrams. We can mention her name. You know, I'm getting a little forgetful, but I catch up. So we out there with Stacey Abrams signs and AK-47s going door to door. Black people scared as hell. They saying they gonna arrest y'all. Police driving by. We voted for Stacy. Right on. Because they know we was in our constitutional rights. A white man drove up on us. How do you got the plaque in the card for Stacy and the guns? I said, listen here, white man. You can go to my video and look at it. I say the voting is the 15th Amendment. Y'all know y'all fight to vote here. So y'all know that's the 15th Amendment they gave black folk. The gun, that's the Second Amendment. And when you make a priority list, you go from what's more important to... So I say if George Washington and the boys thought the gun was 14 spots higher than this plaque, that's why we got our guns. And by the way, Cracker, where your gun? Then he go get his 9mm out. I got my gun right here. Well, why in the hell you messing with me? But the only difference is if you point it wrong, you're going to get about 300 shots put in his car. Get your ass on away from us. He drove on away. Malcolm X say when a man knock on your door with a rope, you don't run out the back door. You saw all these movies, they waiting back there. You supposed to have about 5 ropes tied like ties. And it's whoever quickest with the rope. Right there, let's get it on. So that cracker ran on down the street, and black people talking about black power then. It's all right, you got to lead. You got to lead. You got to show by example. But we wasn't there with that gun because we're foolish. I remember Minister Farrakhan was talking about the FOI, securing his life. He went into a radio station, and the FOI was everywhere. And when he got up there, the white woman asked him, you know, I came to work today. They was in the parking garage. They was here. They was there. They was all the way up. What's going on? He said, you wouldn't ask that if Margaret Thatcher was here and her security was here. You wouldn't ask it if Putin was over here from Russia and his security was here. But what you're trying to say, a black man, a black leader life ain't worth nobody securing. That's looking at life through their lens. But we had a security they can never get. And so George Washington. Sometime after that, through their lens and their purpose, was a man called Lincoln. Now we back to the Civil War. Y'all all right? And Lincoln said he wouldn't free us if he didn't have to. And we still worship. I don't worship no cracker, dead or alive. They told me after we was protesting in Atlanta, y'all can go check this online. My wife will tell you, I got over 36 calls after we protested for 4 hours. Time magazine, Washington Post, New York Times, Rolling Out magazine, Google News, Yahoo News, Dallas Morning News. I mean, everybody under the sun was calling me. Old Rush Limbaugh. Old dopehead Rush Limbaugh. Old Hannity from CNN, from Fox. Old Don Lemon from CNN. Then I get a call one day, cracker from New York Times. Mr. N'Zinga, we're not live now, but in about 3 seconds we're going to go live, and everything you're going to see is going to be on record. We want to know about this Stacey Abrams and the guns. We're writing a story on it. And I'm such and such from the New York Times. I hung up in the cracker face. Boom. He called me back. Somehow we got hung up on. I said, no, you got hung up on. About 30 minutes later, the editor from the New York Post called. New York Times, biggest newspaper in the world. Mr. N'Zinga, I got a puzzle prize winning writer who was trying to get your side of the story because Bobby Seale said this, that, and that about the new Black Panther Party. We want to get your side of the story, and evidently it was a miscommunication. I said, I don't talk to crackers. I could have went on a 4-week media marathon, but I'm not no entertainer. I'm not looking to be famous. That's famous Amos. I'm a revolutionary, and the revolution won't be televised. See me, it's on purpose. So old Lincoln, I just had to finish that story and let you know we're not playing. We take this serious for 30-some years. The New Black Panther Party, 30-year anniversary is next year. 30 years. The original Panther Party lasted about 7. And now you got some of them that talk against us. But I was telling you about knowledge and wisdom, Reverend Bell. As a leader, I understand that now. See, because we done went through about 10,000 Panthers in 30 years, Brother Charles. Some of them are solid. Some of them just wanted the uniform. Some of them work off Facebook. Some of them ain't never made it to no protest, no city, ain't never donated $1. So when you start talking about original Panthers or original SCLC members or members at Reverend Bell Church, go ask Reverend Bell about them. See, sometimes you got to check people's resume. So I was the original Panther. I said, what's your name? Then I called some of the original Panthers. Oh, he was an agent. Oh, man, he was only in the party 2 weeks. Or he was in the party this or that. And I got to admit, I get mad at my elders sometimes. I get weary sometimes. Because when I was in Kansas City, Missouri, when my mother moved us up there, one day I was crossing the street, Brother Charles. And these big black men in uniforms like that came up in leather coats. Little brother, let us help you across the street. A couple of weeks later, I told my mom about it. A couple of weeks later, they took us to this church. That's why revolutionaries that don't with the church are foolish. Especially if you're in the Panther Party. Half the work they did was in the basement of a church. The program to feed our babies started from the original Panther Party in churches. The doctors and the black doctors they put together would meet you in the basement of churches and check your blood pressure and your cholesterol level and your sugar diabetes. And you want to talk against the church when you get to read 4 or 5 books. So Reverend Bell, this is my only problem with this. Eventually I became a cub. They would feed me in the morning and say, little brother, you ate? You know how black people, even if I ate, I said, I ain't ate. And they give you that bowl of cereal and that orange juice. You walk you dang near the school. These are the original Panthers. So I'm a cub. So I'm saying to the original Panthers, if you don't want to do the damn work no more, let the Cubs do it. That's why you produced us. But we different from white men. I'm going to tell you one story, but it makes sense. When Obama became president, oh, no good Kennedy family. I don't give a damn how you think about it. John F. Kennedy became the president in the 60s, early 60s, 1960. When he became president, he was the senator of Massachusetts. Is that right, blood? I know you know. Just reminding you. I ain't trying to know everything. But he replaced himself with Ted Kennedy. Then he was smarter than Trump. He made Bobby Kennedy his attorney general so he can get away with anything he wanted. That was his other brother. But Ted Kennedy, when Obama won presidency and did his first gathering at the White House, they had to call an ambulance. And they called it for Ted Kennedy. Had a tumor What is this old cracker hero, John McCain, walking to the Senate floor 2 days after his operation on his brain? Am I right? Putting his vote in. White revolutionaries don't go away, man. They 80, 90 years old, getting rolled into the Senate, kicking us in our butt. What the hell you stopping for? Giving a damn speech at Howard in the 60s, but now you at Harvard. Now you at Yale with some little Jewish people packing your briefcase